Hello, good morning, friends. Welcome back again. And yesterday we were discussing about the laws that government was making in order to protect the lives of the people, scheduled tribes, scheduled castes, Adivasis, and so on. And today let us study about a law that government made in 1989 in order to protect the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. And the name of that law is the Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989. That is the name of this law that was passed in the parliament in 1989. So let us study in detail about what are the provisions included in that law, what are the punishments government will inflict on people who are violating the law, and so on. You can take page number 99. Ratnam sought the support of the law, filing his complaint under the above Act to protest against the domination and violence of the powerful caste in his village. So, the last class we learned about a young man who was educated, who was an engineering student, how he reacted against the injustice that was inflicted on him, and he had to face a lot of consequences. They burned his house. He and his family were ostracized and they had to move out and so on. Yet he filed a case and he was able to stop that ill practice that was going on in his village dominated by the upper caste. So this act was framed in 1989 in response to demands made by Dalits and others that the government must take seriously the ill treatment and the humiliation Dalits and the tribal groups face in everyday sense. So a lot of complaints were there, a lot of Dalits, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe people were abused and they were maltreated, ill-treated, and therefore government was forced to make this law in order to protect their rights. And while such a treatment had persisted for a long time, it had acquired a violent character in the late 1970s and 80s. So this injustice was going on for such a long time, maltreatment of the low caste by the higher caste. But when it reached 1970 and 1980 and so on, it became very violent. The higher caste or the upper caste, they began to beat others. They had began to put a fire over their house, and maltreat them, kill them, beat them, all kinds of violence. It began to take place. Before it was only just maltreating or just showing them the disguise way of treating, maltreating and so on. But now it became very violent. Therefore, government is forced to create a new law to punish those who are violating the law. And during this period, in parts of southern India, a number of assertive Dalit groups came into being and asserted their rights. They refused to perform their so-called caste duties and insisted on being treated equally. Like Ratnam, they refused to follow practices located in the humiliation and exploitation of Dalits. So, especially in South India, a lot of Dalit people are there, and they were also asked to do this kind of menial jobs, washing others' leg, doing very mean jobs like picking up dirt, all those things. So they refused. They formed an association and they said, like that boy Ratnam, they said, we will not do this. We are also human beings, we are also citizens of this country, therefore we have equal right. So you cannot force us to do. If we want, we will do. If we like, we will do. But you cannot force us. So they formed an association, they came together, therefore they were strong. And this resulted in the more powerful caste unleashing violence against them. So when the upper caste came to know that Dalit people, they are forming association, they are gathering together, they are becoming more powerful, then they began to attack them, give them violence and so on. And in order to indicate to the government the untouchability was still being practiced and in the most hideous manner, Dalit groups demanded law new laws that would list the various sorts of violence against Dalits and prescribe stringent punishment for those who indulge in them. So, though the untouchability is already banned in India, but still it is going on practiced in a hideous way, not openly practiced but in a hideous way. When they are making the Dalit people to do the menial jobs, that is a kind of untouchability. That we will not do this work, you have to do this work. So that's a way of still another way, another form of untouchability. So the Dalit people approach the government and told them, in order to prove that there is no untouchability practicing, you have to make new law, and those who violate that law, they should be given very strict punishment. So the Dalit groups demanded it, and the government responded positively by making a new law that is called Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989. Then likewise throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Adivasi people successfully organized themselves and demanded equal rights and for their land and resources to be returned to them. And they too had to face the anger of powerful social groups and were subject to a great deal of violence. So the land of the Adivasis were taken away, and they demanded that our land should be given back. We want to settle there, we want to cultivate there. So the whole government took the land and gave back to the Adivasis, and then those powerful people or those rich people, they were very angry with them. They also attacked the Dalit people. And this is why this act contains a very long list of crimes, some of which are too horrible even to contemplate. The act does not only describe terrible crimes but also lets people know what dreadful deeds human beings are capable of. In this sense, the laws such as these seek to both punish as well as influence the way we think and act. So government wrote down this new law, and in this law it is written down what are the crimes not allowed to do against the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes. So it is written down very clearly that these human beings, we are all human beings, we all have to treat each other with respect, with love and so on. Therefore, anyone who breaks this law, breaks violence, brings violence, they should be met with a severe punishment. That is the intention of the government. Then the act distinguishes several levels of crimes. Firstly, it lists models of humiliation that are both physically horrific and morally reprehensible, and seek to punish those who force a member of a scheduled caste or scheduled tribe to drink or eat any inedible or obnoxious substance. So, in this law, it is written down that any person trying to humiliate another person, maybe physical humiliation or maybe moral humiliation, all these are very strongly punishable crimes. So they will undergo severe punishment. For example, if you force a member of scheduled caste or scheduled tribe to eat something that is obnoxious substance. What is obnoxious? Obnoxious means objectable, not allowed to eat. So, for example, the Muslims, they don't eat pork, and if anybody is forcing them to eat pork, then that is punishable. In the same way, to drink something that they don't like, then that is also punishable. So there should be no force for eating and drinking other people. Then forcefully removes clothes from a person of a member of a scheduled caste or a scheduled tribe, or parades him or her naked with painted face or body, or commits any similar act with derogatory to human dignity. So another says, if a person is trying to humiliate another person belonging to scheduled caste or scheduled tribe by removing their clothes, or by putting color on their face, or making them naked, all these things that will be severely punishable. And making any derogatory means very lowering, the bringing down the person's dignity. So anything, speaking anything against them or doing something that means making them naked, and so is lowering their human dignity, that will be severely punished. Then secondly, it lists actions that disposes Dalits and Adivasis of their meager resources, or which force them into performing slave labor. So in this law it is mentioned again that any action that dispose means remove them, and Dalits and Adivasis of their meager resources. So people, Adivasis or the Dalits who have got this meager resources, maybe their land, their house, or that. So those who are disposing them from there, those who are removing them from their land, and or force them into performing slave labor, or make them force them, you come and work in my house, you are my slave. If you say that, again that is punishable. Thus, the Act sets out to punish anyone who wrongfully occupies or cultivates any land owned or allotted to a member of a scheduled caste or a scheduled tribe, or gets the land allotted to him transferred. So, the law says that if you go and occupy the land of a scheduled caste or a scheduled tribe or a Dalit forcefully or wrongfully, then you can be punished. Or if you are allotting that land, the land of a scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, you are allotting it to someone else, then that is punishable. Or if you are allotting, or if you are transferring that to someone else, then that is also punishable. So there are very strong laws are there in order to protect the people belonging to scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, Adivasis, and so on. And at another level, the Act recognizes that crimes against Dalits and tribal women are of a specific kind, and therefore seeks to penalize anyone who assaults or uses force on any woman belonging to a scheduled caste or a scheduled tribe with intent to dishonor her. So there are also laws to protect the women. Under the same law, there are different provisions are made to protect the women belonging to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So what are the provisions? So if a Dalit or a tribal woman seeks to penalize anyone who assaults or uses force on any woman belonging to a scheduled caste. So if anybody is beating a woman belonging to scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, then they can go to the court, and that person who is beating, he will be punished. And even if you try to dishonor her, maybe by speaking bad words in the public or making wrong accusations, all these things will be punishable. So this Act is very strong in order to protect the poor people, especially those who are belonging to scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Then there is a poem again, a small poem is given there, that is describing about the situation in India. So it is Pandit, look in your heart for knowledge. Pandit means a learned person, a person with great knowledge. So the poet is asking, telling him, look into your heart if you want to know knowledge, if you want to get knowledge. Tell me where untouchability came from, since you believe in it. So these rich people or higher class people, they believe in untouchability. So the poet is asking, tell me where is this untouchability coming from? Mix red juice or white juice or air, a body bakes in a body. We eat by touching, we wash by touching. From a touch, the world was born. So who is untouched? Asked Kabir. Only she who is free from delusion. So the poet is telling that we touch everything. There's nothing come without touching. We wash our hands, we touch water, we touch the soap, we touch the food while cooking, while preparing. So touch is there. Touch is all part of our human life. Without touching, we cannot live. So that's a small poem. In this poem, Kabir is challenging the priest by directly questioning at him about where untouchability came from. So he asks the priest to look for knowledge in his heart and not in the scriptures. So he's challenging the priest of the higher caste, asking him to challenge that because the priest belonging to the higher caste, and he is asking him, if you want knowledge, look in your heart, not in other places. Then Kabir goes on to describe how every human body is made of blood and air and has spent 9 months in the mother's womb. So every human being is same, born in the same way, remaining in the mother's womb for 9 months and then coming out. So everybody is same, whether they belongs to higher caste or low caste, it is the same thing for everyone. And that everything in the world is created by touching something, whether it be a pot, a human being, or a painting. So whatever it may be, all are formed by touching. If it is human being, the mother will be touching it, or if it is a pot, the potter will be touching it, or if it is a painting, then the artist will be touching it. So without touching, nothing comes out. And he takes the word untouchable and gives it a very different meaning. He claims that untouchability is the highest state of knowledge, and it means not be touched by narrow limiting ideas. Therefore, Kabir finally turns the idea of untouchability on its head, from the lowest to the highest state that a human being can achieve. So he says we should have the higher knowledge which only the human beings can achieve. So untouchability means not just the food that we eat or not those things, but it is the highest knowledge, that is the knowledge from God Himself. So that is a poem written by Kabir, a small poem, but he gives the highest meaning, not to the people belonging to the high caste or low caste, but untouchability means it is the God who is above, and the real knowledge that has to come from our heart. That is what he is telling. Then let's see the next page. There is a scourge of manual scavengering. So scavengering means the people who are doing menial jobs, cleaning the roads, cleaning the drain, and cleaning the houses, kitchen side, all those. So doing that dirty work, we can say, cleaning and picking up all the waste, all those, that is called scavengering. And in olden times, it was these low caste people who were selected to do this scavengering work, and that was considered, like we learned in the previous class, Retnam and his family, it was their duty to wash the legs of the trees and take bath in that water. So in the same way, in the Indian society, where this caste system is very strong, they consider the low caste people, it is their duty to do the cleaning, all that. So let us see about that. So manual scavengering refers to the practice of removing human and animal waste, excreta, using brooms, tin plates and baskets from dry latrines and carrying it on the head to disposal ground some distance away. So this manual scavengering, it is even worse, not only just cleaning the road and cleaning the kitchen and other places, even carrying the human and the animal waste that they have to carry in a basket, keep it on their head, and then go and throw in the waste throwing place. So that was a very hard, troublesome job. And a manual scavenger is the person who does the job of carrying this filth. And this job is mainly done by Dalit women and young girls. According to the Andhra Pradesh based Safai Karamchari Andolan, An organization working with manual scavengers. There are 13 lakh persons from Dalit communities who continue to be employed in this job in this country and who work in the 96 lakh private and community dry latrines managed by municipalities. So if you go to the Andhra Pradesh state, you will find that there are so many 19 lakh private and community line latrines are there managed by these people are working in that. So there are so many 13 lakhs people are there, Dalit people who are forced to work, whose duty is to clean all the latrines in the public latrines owned by the government, owned by the municipalities, and so they have to carry this one and they have to go and throw it manually. So that is a really troublesome work, a difficult work. Then manual scavengers are exposed to subhuman conditions of work and face serious health hazards. So those who are carrying this waste, they have to face very serious health problems. They may get sick because they are working in this waste. So they may face problems, they may face a lot of serious sicknesses, and so it is really a risky thing for their life. And they are constantly exposed to infections that affect their eyes, skin, respiratory and gastrointestinal systems. So people who are working as a manual scavenging, since they are working in this waste, very often their body is affected, their eyes are affected, their skin is affected, their breathing system, their lungs is affected, everything is affected, and they get very low wages for the work that they perform. Those working in urban municipalities earn 30 to 40 rupees per day, and those working private are paid much less. So though they are doing this difficult work of cleaning latrines and so on, and the money that they get is only just 30 rupees or 40 rupees. Those are working with the government, and those are working with the private company, they are getting even less than 40 rupees. So we can imagine what a pitiable condition is the woman belonging to the Dalit community. And as you have read earlier in this book, the practice of untouchability has been abolished by Indian Constitution. However, manual scavengers in different parts of the country, the Bangis in Gujarat, Pakis in Andhra Pradesh, and the Shikaliyas in Tamil Nadu continue to be considered untouchable. So in our constitution, as soon as we got the freedom, we said there will not be untouchability, everybody will be equal. But that is remaining only in the paper. It is not practiced. In many states, we know there are people belonging to the low caste and they are not allowed to go and enter into the high caste people, or there is no possibility of mingling with them and living together and so on. So some of the examples are in Gujarat there is a community called Bangis, or in Tamil Nadu there is Shikaliyars, and in Andhra Pradesh there are Pakis. These are some of the examples of people belonging to the lower caste and who are still facing the problem because of untouchability. Then they often live in separate settlements on the outskirts of the village and are denied access to the temple, public water facility, and so on. So these people who are considered as untouchables, they have no right to enter into the temple for worshipping. They have no right to go to the public well for drawing water. They cannot take water from them. They have to find out some other source of water and so on. So that kind of bad practices are still there, though it is blocked, though it is banned in the Indian Constitution, but it is still there, it is still practiced by the people of India. So that is really a bad thing for us to know that our country is still going on practicing this kind of bad practices. Then in 1993, the government passed the Employment of Manual Scavengers and Construction of Dry Latrines Prohibition Act. So in order to help these people, in 1993 government passed another act, that is, the name is called employment of manual scavengers and construction of light latrines Prohibition Act. So according to this act, nobody is allowed to employ the low-caste people or the Dalits to do cleaning of these latrines, or they are not allowed to construct dry latrines. So nobody is allowed to use these people or force these people to come and clean their latrines. And this law prohibits the employment of manual scavengers as well as the construction of dry latrines. In 2003, the Safai, Karamchari Antolan and 13 other organizations and individuals, including 7 scavengers, filed a PIL, public interest litigation, in the Supreme Court. The petitioners complained that manual scavenging still existed and it continued in government undertakings like railways. The petitioners sought enforcement of their fundamental rights, and the court observed that the number of manual scavengers in India had increased since 1993 law, and it directed every department or ministry of the union government and state governments to verify the facts within 6 months. If manual scavenging was found to exist, then the government department has to actively take up a time-bound program for their liberation and rehabilitation. So, though this law was made that nobody is allowed to use as a manual scavenger, the people realize that still some people are forced to do this work. For example, in the railway station or railway lines, and so the people pass their waste and these people are made to go and clean. So this petitioner or the man who complained to the Supreme Court said, though the law says it is not allowed, but still even the government agencies are making use of these people. Government agencies are breaking the law. Therefore, the government should do something. So Supreme Court inquired about it, and they sent notice and information to the central government and the state governments and find out, make an inquiry if there are people still suffering or people are still there who are forced to clean the latrines, and if there are, make a time-bound program that within this month, within 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, make a program, we will completely stop this manual scavenging and send a report to the Supreme Court. So the law is there, but we are not aware about it, and the people are being misused by that. People are forced to do the manual scavenging work. Therefore, people have to be active and alert. They should be aware that the law is there to protect them, and they should take the protection of the law. That's why courts are there, Supreme Court is there. So they should go to the court and file a case and file a complaint so that the law will be put into practice properly, and they will be made to be saved from that humiliating situation or making them to do the manual scavenging work and so on. So each one of us can take that task. If we find something that is illegal is going on in our place, if somebody is breaking the law or misusing the people, then we should have the courage to come against that and fight against that injustice. Make that people also free. Make them also realize that they are human beings, they are citizens of India, and they also have got the right just as I am having. So try to honor others, try to respect others, the others' rights, and try to live for them, work for them. That will be a great work that we can do for humanity and to our own fellow human beings, fellow human citizens. So let us pledge that we will do whatever we can to oppose injustice and try to help others, try to make them good and so on. So today we shall wind it up, and we will meet again in the next day. So thank you for listening. Have a nice day.